We must do better. Mankind must become better.
Today is October 14th. We are celebrating Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day in the United States. And I think that we should challenge ourselves to realize that from a higher standpoint, the standpoint of Nicholas of Cusa, we can celebrate both. Columbus was a brilliant navigator. He traveled to the New World against great odds and, in a sense, secretly from his crew, many of whom were suspicious and believed it was possible to sail off the edge of the earth. So he had to keep two sets of charts so that they wouldn't know where he was going. And his work was a product of the Italian Renaissance. We also have to look honestly at our history and contemplate and figure out what went wrong from the moment the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock in 1620, where the Native American population actually aided them greatly. That was the first Thanksgiving, and apparently John Winslow and Massaquoi, I think was the name of the Wampanoag chief, had a very good and productive relationship. And when Winslow passed away, that deteriorated, agreements were broken, and the new settlers drove the Native American population off of their land into smaller and smaller areas. This is something that cannot be ignored. And I think if you consider the way Friedrich Schiller wrote about universal history, every culture where human beings have survived has made a contribution for the betterment of mankind. That's the beauty of the diversity of having many nations, many cultures. And we should not all be so arrogant to think that we are perfect just as we are, or that we were perfect when we began and we couldn't learn something from anyone else. Now, as I've been saying, the world is really in a period of extremes. Yesterday, I attended, along with Jose Vega and others, a report back from a number of doctors led by Dr. Mark Perlmutter, who had spent time in Gaza, in the hospitals there. And the report that they gave was absolutely gut-wrenching, devastating, horrific. Dr. Perlmutter described seeing 100 trucks lined up outside. At first he thought, oh, that's good, they're bringing in supplies. But then he realized when he came back several hours later, not only were the same trucks still there, but the line now stretched for 30 miles. The Israelis were just not letting them in. The malnutrition is so great, lack of soap, lack of antibiotics. The hospital that they were in had 200 beds and 1,500 patients. He said the risk of infection on getting surgery under these conditions is not 99%, it is 100%. You have to plan your surgical procedures to allow drainage for the infection, and that many of the patients do not make it because they're too weak from starvation to be able to survive. This is what the United States is backing. And I don't subscribe to the view that Biden and Kamala Harris are trying to get Bibi Netanyahu under control. All we have to do is threaten to cut off all weapons and aid, and Israel will have to stop this onslaught. So the United States has it in our power to stop the genocide, stop this war, but we are choosing not to do so for various reasons, not the least of which is a huge amount of money sloshing around to the pockets of various politicians. Now, I wanted to share notice, because obviously we have an escalation in southern Lebanon, we have an escalation with Iran, but also we have a group of Israeli human rights organizations that have just released a statement warning here it is. Human rights NGOs based in Israel today called on the international community to take action now to prevent Israel from forcibly transferring hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who have remained in the northern Gaza Strip outside of the area, including by denying entry of essential humanitarian aid and fuel. Now, this policy is what they call the General's Plan. And what the General's Plan means is that you simply starve people to death. And the general who devised this plan said, well, we don't have to kill everybody. We don't have to kill everybody. We'll just prevent all food, all medicine, all water from coming in, and they will die of quote unquote natural causes. It's not natural if you starve someone to death. We didn't say that the Jews who were killed by Nazis in the concentration camps died of natural causes. They died of the Nazi policy of working them to death and starving them or putting them in gas ovens. Those are not natural policies. Those are deliberate policies, and that is just what the Netanyahu regime, with the blessing of the United States, wants to impose on what I understand to be about 400,000 people in northern Gaza right now. Now, just making the point of extremes, on the other hand, what could mankind be doing? And I wanted to share this very, very amazing landing of the SpaceX rocket, which has come back to Earth. And I think I'll just show you this thing because it really is so spectacular, really. So we're going to watch this video here. Hold on a second and we'll hear the audio, hopefully. Let's see here.
We're now down to 3 Raptor engines. We can see those chopsticks now in here. Micadilla has popped the booster. This is absolutely insane. On the first ever attempt, we have successfully caught the Super Heavy booster back at the launch tower. What an incredible view!
Are you kidding me?
So that is tremendously exciting. It saves a lot of money because the booster rockets don't have to drop into the ocean. And earlier today, we launched SpaceX Heavy to Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter, and it launched successfully. It, I think, goes out, comes in orbit around the Earth to pick up speed. Pick up speed and then out to Jupiter, and it will be doing several orbits around Jupiter and Jupiter's moon Europa and sending back all kinds of data. It just shows what human beings are capable of doing for good, to make discoveries about the universe. We could be collaborating with China, Russia, the UAE, India, other spacefaring nations, learning much more about the universe and to improve our own relationship with planet Earth. And I think this is really the way the world could go. It's what General Douglas MacArthur was getting at, that mankind has tremendous capacity to make discoveries. But do we have the morality? Do we have the humanity? Do we have the passion and love of mankind to put that creative power into the service of mankind as a whole, as opposed into the potential for self-annihilation? So I leave you with that question. I hope you can join me and Jose Vega tonight at 8:30. You can go to our websites to get more information, we'll be having a conversation with Scott Ritter. And then coming up on October 26th, we're going to have an incredible event in Manhattan. If you visit sarahforsenate.com, you can get information about that as well.